Welcome to Sales for Nerds. I'm your host and chief nerd, Ruben Swartz. If you started a business because you love serving clients but realized you didn't like the sales and marketing aspect of running that business so much, this is the podcast for you. Sales and marketing doesn't have to suck. It can actually be a lot of fun. And on this show, we're going to teach you how to connect instead of network, teach instead of market, help instead of sell, so you can keep serving people even while you're building your pipeline and growing your business. Now let's get to it. Today, I'm super excited to have with me Michael Buzinksi, who is on a mission to reduce the prevalence of entrepreneurial poverty in the U.S. We're going to get into exactly what that means in a few minutes. He is the author of The Rule of 26. He's a lifelong entrepreneur. He's a digital marketing thought leader, best-selling author, as I mentioned, The Rule of 26, and he was called a visionary marketer by the American Marketing Association. So, Michael, welcome to Sales for Nerds. What do you have in your glass?
I have Kahlua, or no. Is it Kahlua? No, it's not Kahlua. I just forgot it. It is a fine spiced rum, distilled in Hawaii.
Okay, I didn't know they had a rum industry in Hawaii. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm on the
Kona.
Pacific.
That's what it's called. Kona.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, we're going to get off to an interesting start if we don't even know what liquor we're drinking yet. So,
in my behalf, I grabbed the first thing I could get when I heard this was a drinking meeting. So.
Absolutely. This is why I bring the bottle with me, so I could just reference it. I don't have to remember. I've got some Grave Cellars Pinot Noir from Willamette Valley, Oregon, which is suiting me just fine.
Oh, there we go.
Michael, tell me, how did you get into digital marketing?
Oh man, I got into marketing period when I was a teenager.
As most of us do.
Right. And I have sales and marketing, right? Back when sales and marketing were a thing where you had to do both. They were back in, I'm going to date myself. When I started working in marketing, it was still the 1980s. So back in the last century. And then it was after I climbed a couple of corporate ladders, and found out that without a bachelor's degree back in the day, you couldn't get a job in marketing. Like, you could get any job in sales, but you could only get so far in marketing. And so I wasn't going to sit around and be in college for 4 years and be poor and get a debt and all the other things that I saw there. So I joined the service, and I was actually in the Air Force for 10 years. And during that time, along all that, I was a professional musician starting at the age of 13. The jazz trombonist when I was really young. The little band I was in junior high went pro. We recorded an album, went on tour in California, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, long story short, I used all my marketing through 15 years of being a working musician, side hustles type of stuff. And then I started doing graphic design for my friends' businesses, blah, 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 blah. So by the time I got out of the service, I was pretty much unemployable because I had a very specialized job. And I didn't want to go work in the government contracting. So I started a recording studio back in 2005. And about a year into that, I realized working and trying to survive off of starving musicians was a horrible business plan. And so I pivoted to the second poorest people I know, and that's business owners. But I grew with them, and I grew into a creative agency. So the media production turned into a creative agency. And then I grew a multi-million-dollar creative agency broke because we were growing and not scaling. And we were doing a lot of things in the business side wrong. So our marketing was great. Our sales are great. We're getting plenty of clients, over 300 clients. We weren't charging enough for the services that we were providing, and the overhead just about choked me to death. So I broke the company up, and I started Buzzworthy Integrated Marketing. And instead of having 22 employees and 13,000 square foot facility, I created a 100% remote workforce. And for the last 3.5 years, we've been killing it. Just killing I swear, if I had the case studies I had in the last 3.5 years, over the last 15 years before that, I might not even be able to sit here and talk with you and have this beautiful drink. So salud.
Salud. Cheers. Well, you raise a lot of great, interesting questions here, including, like, I believe you're the first professional trombonist we've had on the show. So, there's always an exciting thing. I've been meaning to check that box off for a while.
There you go. Polish even. So there's a Polish professional jazz trombonist.
Right.
I know that box is there.
That's right. I'm checking it off right now. So it sounds like you learned a lot of things And now you're getting to apply those lessons sort of the next go around, and things are going a lot easier, it sounds like.
I think business is always hard. I hate when people sit there, oh, my life is so much easier. Easier and pleasant are two very different things. And building business, regardless, is hard. And I think that it's important for people to understand that you can enjoy hard work, versus work being hard.
Right.
I love what I do. It doesn't make it any easier because marketing is consistently changing and I'm consistently learning. Luckily, I love to learn. I love to teach, and I'm a problem solver. So marketing is perfect for me.
Got it. Okay. So I guess let's jump into the rule of 26.
Okay.
When I saw that, I was like, I think I have an idea what this is about, because I'm a nerd.
Okay.
But for folks who haven't read it, who aren't familiar with it, what does the rule of 26 mean, and why is it relevant?
So the rule of 26 was written to help small business owners understand, one, the importance of website marketing and how simple a website marketing strategy can be. Because so many service-oriented businesses like coaches and consultants think that really referrals and word of mouth is all they need. Mm-hmm. Which, if you're looking for a lifestyle business, you're good. You can actually stop this episode right now, skip to Ruben's next episode, because you don't need to hear this, okay? But if you're trying to grow a business and have something work for you rather than you work for it, you need something that's scalable. And word of mouth and referral marketing is not scalable. To think that people are sitting around waiting to pass you business, or people are going to remember your name amongst all of the other names that are pushed through their ears 3,000 times a day with active marketing, you're delusional as far as I'm concerned, right? And you should get checked out for that. So what I did was I said, okay, let's break it down to where the rubber meets the road when it comes to marketing a website. And I identified 3 KPIs, or key performance indicators, that allow us to only work on things that will move revenue needles for our business. And so the rule of 26 simply states that if you increase your organic traffic to your website by 26%, the conversion rate of that website by 26%, and the average revenue per client coming from your website by 26%, you will get a compounded output of 100% more revenue. And if that's not enough, do it again, and you will have quadrupled your revenue from your website.
Love it. And I used to have this slide in a lot of the presentations I did where I had a couple more steps in there, but it'd be like web visitor to lead to conversation to proposal to client, and then revenue per client. But the same concept, just with a few extra terms here, because I have trouble keeping things simple. But
well, you just think of those as those first 3 are the rule of 26. That's where the marketing ends for the moment and your sales begin. So you got it down.
Well, and that's a great point, because what I would tell people is, hey, you don't even need to get 26%. It was like 15% or something like that. If you could do it across the board.
Right.
But let's say that you're just focusing on marketing and you apply the rule of 26, you don't even have to improve your sales. And like you say, you're going to double. Right. Or maybe your marketing stays the same. You're just going to work on your close rates and your average revenue per client. All of this stuff compounds. You don't have to like totally blow one thing out of the water. And in fact, if you got 10x the number of leads, that might be a problem because you wouldn't be able to follow up with them effectively.
Or the quality of them would be crap.
Exactly. And I think that's the other thing that I think is really important. Like, even if you're like, hey, I just have a lifestyle business, I was about to turn this episode off, I'm going to disagree with you on that. Don't turn this episode off, because there is nothing wrong with having more prospects to choose from so that you can select the ones you want to work with. Even if your word of mouth is great and you're fine, there's nothing wrong with having some other folks. And like the more you can be choosy about who you decide to work with, the better your life is.
And that's actually a really good point, Ruben, because that's how I start the conversation of your average revenue per client. Because there's so many people who take on business they don't need to take on. I know, because I did it for years. Right. We're so worried about paying the bills that we forget to serve our needs, our passion. Right. And if you have to serve clients you hate, you're going to start hating your business. And that sucks. Believe me, I was there.
I've been there too.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is, it's not like you can completely compartmentalize it to the crappy client. It bleeds into everything, even the stuff that you used to love.
It's just like a flood. Water will go everywhere. It will not stop where on the floor that you don't like. It'll go right onto the nice carpet. It will ruin the feet of your favorite couch. It's going to do everything. And it is a poison in your culture of your business if you have employees.
Yep.
Right. And I know a lot of consultants that have virtual assistants and basically assistant coaches and admin. And it's like they get stuck with all the complaints in the background. What does that do to the morale of your company? And so if we're able to if we were able to identify the types of clients that make us happy, the people we look forward to serving, and we understand their needs, their wants, their dreams, and we talk in those terms exclusively, you're going to get more of that than anything else. And so, yes, the amount of leads will be less. That's good, because some of the most profitable calls that you will take are the ones you don't have to take. Because every time you take a call with somebody you shouldn't be doing business with is a waste of your time. And time is a commodity we cannot replace.
Right. And folks who listen to this show know that this is a very common theme, because it's a very common mistake that so many of us make, so I'm told. And not only do we waste a bunch of time oftentimes trying to convince folks who aren't great fits to work with us, the worst case scenario is we succeed in those efforts. And then we end up with that bad client whose bad mojo just kills everything. So let's talk about, for folks who are not sure on the math, basically, if you take something, you add 26% to it, and you do that 3 times, you end up doubling it, right? It's kind of like the rule of 72.
It's a compound math. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. It's rule of 72 is basically what it is, because you're basically creating more of more, right? Because when you take, just because you take 26, so the first one gives you 26% more revenue. I don't care which one you start with.
Right.
You can start with ARCP, you can start with your conversion rate, you can start with your traffic. Now, the math only works if the other two stay the same, right? So if you increase your traffic by 26%, but your conversion rate goes down, you have one of two problems: bad traffic or bad conversion rate, right? So usually bad traffic, if you've had a conversion rate and you add traffic and it goes down, usually that doesn't happen, right? It's usually bad traffic, right? Conversely, if you increase your conversion rate with the same amount of traffic, you're automatically taking more on more clients, right? So 26% more sales. Okay. So the first KPI is going to give you 26% more revenue. The second KPI is going to give you 52%. That third KPI, when you compound that into the equation, gives you 100%. And so the great thing about that is you're getting more money as you go. You don't have to wait till the last step to get the rewards.
Right. There's benefit of compound interest. So it's just to go back and clarify, the second 26%, when you compound that, you're at about 59%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the last one. Yeah. And because they're not additive, they're compounding. Yeah. So
yes.
Where do you recommend people start, or does it vary? How should someone tell if they say, "Hey, Michael, this sounds great. I need the rule of 26, but gosh, everything's all effed up." Right. Which one should I begin with?
So if everything's effed up, then we're going to start with your average revenue per client.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to do that is because when we look at our average revenue per client, we are identifying who is the most profitable clients you serve now. And we're going to create these little personas. And that persona is then going to get talked to specifically. And I'm working with a cleaning company right now. They've been in business for 30 years, right? They just brought me on as their fractional CMO. Okay. Now, what was the first thing I did? I said, okay, let's talk about your customers. Let's talk about your best customers, because that's the only people I want to know about. Okay. And we built those canvases. They've been doing this for 30 years. You think they know their customers? Sure, they do. But rehashing it is a good thing. Right. And they discovered a couple things about some of their segments that they didn't really identify before. And then we're going to go to those perfect clients, and I'm now surveying those clients for them. And then we're asking them about things that we are guessing on, right? We're making these hypotheses. Well, guess what? If your perfect client is a perfect client, they're willing to help you get more of them to work with you. Okay. Not just referrals, but to help you with your marketing, because they know that the more people like them that you're serving, the better their service is going to get, because the better you're going to get. You don't have to have so many SOPs to make so many different types of people happy if we niche down, right?
Yep.
So once we understand that and we understand the messaging, then we can hop over to your conversions. So your conversion rate's all about how well your website is selling for you. Because remember, your website is a salesperson. Okay. It does exactly what you want every single time. And it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, never takes vacation, never calls in sick, and never asks for a raise. So, and it's completely programmable. So if we put everything in line and we focus on the needs of what our perfect clients, which would be then our perfect prospects, are looking for, and we talk to them that way, to them, not at them, to them, our conversion rates are going to go up. So now we haven't even raised our prices. We've just raised the standard of our clients who are willing to pay the most for our services. Okay. Once we have that in line, then we can go say, okay, now where are these people hanging out? And then we go get traffic from there and push them to our website and let the website do the work.
So basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, we start by looking at not just the average revenue per client, but what's the revenue from the best clients?
Yes.
Because we want to get more of them. We don't necessarily want the average. We might want to get rid of a whole bunch of clients, actually.
About 20% of them you will fire once you start understanding how unprofitable they are. The 80-20 rule works so well in marketing. Okay. 20% of your efforts in marketing will give you 80% of your results. Just plain and simple. 20% of your clients are going to suck up 80% of your time. Okay. So if we can find out who those 20% are right now, we start replacing them with people who, one, don't take as much of your time, will pay your premium, right? And I can start firing. And people ask me, it's like, so how do I get rid of them? Raise your prices. How much do I raise them by? Let's start with 26%. Let's just start there, right? I mean, 26%, if you're charging $100 an hour, it's 126. Okay. Yeah. It might sound like a lot to you, but if the client is getting all the value that you've been promising, I bet you what, they're not going to care. Okay. Especially right now, there's inflation. You can use inflation as an excuse if you wanted to.
And if they care, that's fine too, right? Like they are free not to do business with you on the terms that you insist on doing business on, right? It's a mutual thing. Both sides have to consent. And what happens with a lot of people is I feel like they get sucked into this thing where maybe they weren't sure how to price things getting out of the gate, or they just feel shy about charging what they're worth. And then they hate it. They feel like they know they're getting taken advantage of by their client, but it's not the client's fault.
No,
right? They didn't set the rate. You did.
Oh, yeah. We've gone back and raised prices for a client. He literally had a client go and say, I was wondering when you were going to do that. I was starting to feel guilty.
Yep.
Now, if your best client says, no, I just had this today with a client. We said, hey, they wanted something specific. I said, well, if we made that a premium, would you be willing to pay it? Okay. They wanted a certain, but I don't want to get in the details, but they wanted something specific. And I said, would you pay a premium for that? Well, we already pay a premium for the service and it goes up every year already. So probably not that important. Okay. Not that important. It's not a no, but it's sure not a yes. Right. So, okay, great. Well, then let's look at other ways to increase value. Right. So if your best client, you go to your best client and say, hey, listen, I want to raise my price by 26% for whatever reason. Okay. You can say whatever it is. And they balk. Then you say, okay, what value are you missing for it to be worth that? And they'll tell you. And if it's nothing, then you have to look at other things in your business, right? Because there's always got to be a better premium that you can offer. And they might not buy it, but the next person might, right? Because they're already paying certain. And you could even say, hey, listen, if I was offering this, not that I would charge you, I'm going to grandfather you in for the first year, right? I've worked with companies that said, hey, listen, I know you just signed up 6 months ago. You're on an annual. We're raising our prices significantly, but we're not going to raise yours until the next cycle after this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're now feathering people in.
Yep.
There's pricing strategies can do whatever you want. There's no rules in pricing. It's your business. You get to set them, right? And so if you need to make contracts with your long-term clients a little bit different than your brand new folks, go for it. But make it something very specific so that the ones you're trying to get rid of, you can say no to, or they have the freedom to say no to, like you said, Ruben.
Yeah. And you can always say, hey, I don't think this is working out. Like, good luck. Like, even if they say yes, and you're like, you know what, 26%, I was so wrong. It should be like 8,000%. And even then, I'm not sure, right? You could just say, hey, let me refer you to somebody who I think is going to be a better fit, or just that, like, I'm just done. I don't want to work with you anymore. It's not a good fit. That's okay too. I mean, you don't want to leave someone high and dry in the middle of a project,
right?
But there's a time when you can walk away. And if you have that pipeline coming, even if you're a lifestyle business, right? Having that pipeline gives you the confidence to say, these are the people that I choose to work with, not just the ones that I can convince to work with me.
Yeah. Right. The mirror test. Right. I'll give you an example. So when we moved to Buzzworthy Integrated Marketing, it didn't start all at once, but we have increased some of our services 200%. We have increased some of our services by 500%. Now, what we've done, though, is identified the value we bring to the table. Okay. We were giving away our services, giving them away. And the problem with that one, there was twofold. One, the people who were paying the original fees didn't respect us as much as the people who pay our new fees. That's one. Right. And as consultants, we all know that. If we give away our services, nobody listens to us. If we charge what it's worth, then they'll listen to us and they'll implement things, and we get better case studies and we get better satisfaction, a whole 9 years, right? Number two, I have a service that's more than just consulting. Like, I help people with their marketing strategies. Okay. But then we also have follow-on services. Those services, when I'm giving them at below what I should be, below their value, keeps me from giving them 100% of our capacity, our capabilities. Okay. And when you give less than 100% of your capabilities, you're giving less than they deserve. And that means you're not as effective. That means that you're not giving everything that they should be getting, and therefore not getting the results that they most likely expecting.
So let me make sure I'm understanding what you said correctly. Like, I get that if you're not giving 100% in a given situation, then things are not quite right. But you're saying that that's what you're doing with some of your offerings?
I was doing that.
You were doing, okay, got it.
I was doing that. And it took me a long time to understand it, because we were working with micro businesses and so I didn't understand how to leverage a DIY situation, which we can now do with technology. So we have platforms for our micro solopreneurs. Right. Yep. It's like, I can't spend thousands of dollars to have a fractional CMO. I get that. You probably don't need one yet either. Right. But there are tools that you need to be implementing so that you can get some stuff done and it doesn't take up all of your time. So now we have those platforms that we can offer those people without giving up my valuable time.
Yep.
So they get the tools they need. They just don't get the time with Buzz. Okay.
And by the way, you've got a great way of breaking this down that I just want everyone to be familiar with in case they don't go to your website after this episode, which they totally should do. You've got done for you, done with you, and do it yourself, right? There's sort of these three tiers depending on what they need and what their budget is. Right. And that makes it really easy for me to figure out, where do I belong?
Right. And most of my consultants that are solopreneurs, they're somewhere in between our DIY and our DWY. Right. And they understand, like, because SEO, who's going to do an SEO on their own? Well, with our tools, we actually show people who have no idea what SEO is, how to do it through a website that tells them how. It tells them what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Oh, okay, great. And then they're like, they might get into it and they go, you know what? I actually got a couple clients now. I want to offload a little bit of this. Okay, well, then let's do some of it. And then you do some of it. Now we're sharing the responsibility. And then as you grow past that 7-figure mark and you're like, you know, Buzz, I really need my time back. I'm going to pay you to do it all. And I'm going to have experts doing stuff faster and more in depth than I can possibly do, because I can't give them the big stuff because they wouldn't know how to, even if I gave you all the instructions, you wouldn't know how to do it. Right. So there's only so much you can do on your own. And that's where the done with you and the done for you come in.
Got it. Okay. So this is really cool. And I'm excited. And there's so many directions I want to take this, but I also want to get back to the rule of 26.
Right.
So we talked about average revenue per client as the place we want to start. Make sure we're going after the right people. Then what do we go to from there? What are the other 26? Does it matter which
It doesn't, but I usually, if I'm starting with the average revenue per client, I now have a better idea of what to talk about on my website.
Right.
And so the second biggest mistake, besides not charging enough and holding on to unprofitable clients, the next big mistake is that we go to a website for a consultant and we see everything about them.
Yep.
Me, I, us, we, right? And we have to realize that people do not care what you know until they know how much you care. And so we have to take all the I, we, and us outs and put the you and your into it. I like to start with their pain points. As a consultant, you're doing one of two things. You're either helping somebody attain a dream or you're helping them solve a problem. There is nothing else a consultant does. And once we understand how simple our job is, we can simplify our message, because there's so many times that I see people talk about their services and say absolutely nothing because they're worried about losing opportunities. So trying to be everything to everyone, be a solution for a particular type of person all the time.
And I would even say be the solution for that particular type of person, right?
Yes.
And the more polarizing you can be, such that the people who are not that person are like, Buzz is crazy, I'm out of here. That's a win, right? You don't waste your time. They don't waste their time.
Win-win. Win-win. Remember, some of the most valuable conversations are the ones you don't have.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than, and that's part of, I think, like I've made a huge effort over the past few years to just have more conversations.
Right.
And a lot of my tool is built around facilitating that. But a lot of it is also that I got better at figuring out who I should be talking to, that I'm going to love having a conversation with, instead of trying to convince myself to talk to people who I really shouldn't have been talking to and that drain the life out of me.
Exactly. Like that's probably why you drink during your business meetings now. I'm sorry. That was funny.
Yeah. I mean, you should see me on my sales calls.
Yeah, I bet you do. I love it. Actually, if you can get them to drink during that sales call too, that loosens them up. I like this strategy.
There we go. I mean, you haven't even got my pitch yet. Who knows what's going to happen after you've had that rum?
I love it. I love it.
So we've got the average revenue per good customer. We're focusing on that. Then we've got the messaging. Then we're going to make the website about them instead of about us. I love that. And I like to tell people, like, go through with like literally like take a screenshot and do red, yellow, green. Red is about you. Green is about them. Yellow is, I don't know what the hell we're talking about because it's a bunch of jargony crap. And it's amazing how little green there often is on people's websites. So
jargon, it's important, Ruben, that jargon is a big deal. If you use an industry term, you must follow it up with what it is and why it's important to them. Otherwise, it is yellow.
Right. It's okay to use jargon if it's their jargon, right?
Or if now for SEO, and there's some other reasons you put jargon in, because there are people who know what they're looking for, right?
Yep.
And they just don't know who they're looking to have it done.
Yep.
Okay. There's other people who don't know what it is. And so you have to describe the problem. That's why I start with the problem, because if you describe the problem at the top, you're answering questions that people are searching for answers through the search engines, right? And then we offer a solution, the solution, like you were saying, the solution. Okay. Then we talk about why we're the person or the people to offer that solution. Okay. We haven't talked about anything about us. It's just our methodology. Okay. It's not until they click the about us or the team that you are given permission to talk about you. And even then, everything needs to be wrapped around the why you do what you do. They don't care. I mean, I have a bunch of awards back there. Okay. Nobody cares, right? They're just pretty. They just give me a little bit of authority to say, okay, I'll at least listen to the guy a little bit.
Right.
But if I start talking stupid, you're going to turn the channel.
Right. If you go through and you list all the awards, people are going to tune out. Right. It's like the about page should be the origin story. Here's how I became the superhero that is here to help you out of this jam.
Right. The last thing we put on an about us page is our certifications and maybe some of our awards. You do not start with featured on ABC, CBS, and Newswatch just because you did some online PR thing. Okay. That is, it's old now. Now, if you have Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur, or maybe an association in your industry and you've been highlighted there, okay, that's good, because then you're like for me, the American Marketing Association has dubbed me a visionary marketer. That's pretty cool. I will take that, right? Best-selling author. People read my book. That's cool. Let's listen to this guy, right? But some of the other stuff that I've won awards for, really, to you as a consumer, don't care. And why am I going to put it up on my website and tell you everything else?
Okay, so let me make sure I've got this right. So we've got the revenue. We've redone the language on our website to speak to the ideal prospect and to appeal to people searching for the problem that this ideal prospect has. That's how we get the 26% organic increase.
That's how you get your conversion increase.
Okay, so how do we? So the conversion increase is on the site. We're now speaking to their problems and presumably giving them something useful to convert to instead of just join my newsletter or something like that.
Please stop that. Please stop that.
I don't get enough junk mail. I really want to join some newsletters the second I arrive on a site.
Oh, hey, I got one for you guys. You want a nugget? Here you go. If you listen this far, I'm going to give you this nugget. They're called quiz funnels. And all it is you asking a few questions, and they're usually self-evaluation questions, and then you give them an answer of where they're at with it. Right? Are you struggling with your finances? Find out where you stand in your financial freedom. And then they go and they do the quiz. Now put your email here and we'll send you all the results. Now you've gotten email. They're going to get value in advance, not an e-newsletter, value in advance. Okay. Then they go there, they look at all that stuff. You're going to have call to actions in there. Okay. Not all conversions happen on the website. Sometimes it's the follow-up that happens, right? Now, once they've opted in there, now you can email them with some follow-up. Hey, noticed you took the quiz, saw that you got a 50% out of 100%. You know what? I'm having a workshop coming up here. It's absolutely free. More value in advance. We're going to be talking, it's only going to take 20 minutes, and we're going to unlock this one secret to take you to 50% up to 80% of financial freedom. Great. And then at that little webinar or the workshop or whatever it is that you have them take for free, okay, and something that's going to be leveraged, you don't always have to be there for, then at that point, you're having a call to action for them to actually pay you some money.
Yep.
Okay.
So I like the quiz funnels. I do think that they can be done well and they can be done poorly, and they are sort of like the next shiny object. And so a lot of them are invasive and intrusive and designed to mine your data without providing you a lot of value. So I actually tell people start with just a simple checklist. It's kind of like a quiz, right? You can see how far you get on the checklist, but it's kind of like the minimal thing that you're asking for to get there stuff. And if you've got quizzes or other more interactive things, more power to you as well, but they're a little harder to set up than a checklist. And some people are like, I'm so sick of these quizzes. So anyway, just a thought. Of course, you can do it the right way.
Yes. Everything done the right way. Email marketing is still very valuable if you use it the right way. Okay. The people who do it the wrong way get unsubscribed very fast. Right. And big corporations are the worst at it because they spam you with their own stuff. And I'm like, I just worked on an art logo. So I hired a calligrapher. Okay. He's an online calligrapher for our signature series. Okay. So I wanted this cool calligraphy, right? I get through the whole process, great process. All of a sudden they're asking me to buy more logos. How many logos does a business need from a calligrapher in 1 month?
Right. More than one, apparently.
More than one, apparently, right? It'd be different if they were cross-selling me, or maybe they had an affiliate link to somebody else that has something that people who have new logos need, right? Maybe some t-shirts or polos, right? Or that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. I get it. But yeah, everything that you do in marketing, even the good stuff, can be used poorly.
Right. And I guess the other thing I want to add in is when people request your quiz or your checklist or whatever your lead magnet is, by all means, email them. But especially if you've got a relatively small set of people coming through the funnel, frickin' call them and have a conversation.
Try to have that conversation for sure. I use a CRM. I know you're an anti-CRM guy, but I have to use one. Otherwise I forget.
No, I fully believe in a CRM. I just think of it differently. So go on.
Sure. But I use one that has an SMS text messaging on it. And I personally do the text messaging. I do not automate SMS. Okay. I don't like automated SMS unless it's a reminder.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It feels intrusive.
Yeah. Well, it just feels inauthentic.
Yeah.
As a strategist, which is any consultant, right? Is a strategist, a coach, all those people. We have to be us 100% of the time for each person. So if I'm sitting there going, I am a robot and I'm going to give you this same stuff as I did the last 5 people who asked the question, you're losing me. Okay. Yep. But if I sit there and go, hey, Ruben, great to talk to you on the phone. Oh, we connected on LinkedIn. I just saw our connection. That's awesome. Hey, I was wondering if whatever it is. Okay. Yep. It's specific. It's personalized. Now, if they don't respond to that SMS, which a lot of people don't, okay. I have about 50-50. Okay. Then the email follows and it's still personal. It's still personal. Now, if they're coming through a quiz funnel or they're coming through a checklist or something like that, yes, find a way, because if you're talking to somebody specifically, like an avatar specifically, you know how they're going to be, what conversation you're going to have with them 90% of the time, right? So you can craft that to where it feels like you're talking to the right person. And if it doesn't connect with them, it was the wrong person anyway, right? Remember, we've already done all the research on how they want to be talked to, what they want to talk about, and what their problems are and the solutions they're looking for. So if we talk to those specifically, that automated drip campaign can feel very personal. You just have to be very careful of how you present it.
And I like just the follow-up. If you get the phone call, follow up with, I see you grab my checklist on how to improve your digital marketing conversions. What are you doing today? Right. And you just have a conversation about the problem. It's not about you. It's still all about them. So we've got the average revenue per customer. We've got the conversion on the site. How do we get 26% more organic traffic?
That's the $1 million question, right? So in the book, we talk about all sorts of tactics. Like literally, 22 pages in, you get the rule of 26. I don't beat around the bush. The book is only 120 pages long. Okay. I don't mess around. There's no anecdotal bull crap or anything like that. How I was a little boy on a ranch and I was thinking blah, 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 as they had an epiphany. None of that crap. Okay. This is the rule. And this is how we attack all 3 of those objectives. Okay. So one of the options that I put in here, or an idea, so these are just ideas to get your juices flowing. Okay. Your inspiration. Okay. But one of the ideas I used was a pen. When I was starting out, I had pens. I had the tri-side pens, the big ones, you know what I'm talking about? And one side had my name of my company. Okay. Back then it was BuzzBiz Studios. Okay. And then on the other side, it had our slogan, be seen, be heard. Okay. What was on the third side? Not my phone number, my website. Why? When you give somebody a phone number, they have to commit to talking to somebody. You get be seen, be heard. I haven't given you enough information, nor is there enough space on the pen to tell you what I do. Right. But you at least get a be seen, be heard. I need to be seen, be heard. Oh, let me check that out. Yeah. Because I can go to a website and I can stay anonymous. Right. Now I'm looking for. Right. And so we literally had people bring their pen in from the times I left them at restaurants. Every time I went to sign a check, I'd swap out the cheap Bic and give them a nice tri-tip Bic. And those ladies kept those until somebody stole it for themselves.
Huh.
Okay. Clever. And I would literally find those. And when I would go to a restaurant for the first time and saw my pen, I knew they were in circulation. So over the years, we don't even know how many visitors we got because of the pens. We just know we got clients because of it.
Got it. Okay.
So this is one of the one of the few stories in the actual book, because it has a practical application. You can put your website on the back of your shirts, your jackets, your car, anywhere you can put your website, put it there. Okay. Especially if you have a slogan or a name that lends to what you do. Phone numbers are forgettable. Websites are memorable. Websites are searchable. Phone numbers are not.
Yes.
Okay. So the biggest thing is to get your website linked in places where people go to find people like you. So if, like, I work with a fractional CMO, so he's a financial consultant for contracting companies that do over 10 million a year. So we're not talking mom and pop shops. Okay. Mm-hmm. We hang out at the American Builders and Contractors Association. That's where we put all of our time. Okay. Everything we do, though, has his website on it, because the word of mouth is great. But it's nothing until they go to the website and they understand what he does. Because what does a fractional CFO do? I have an accountant. I don't need a fractional CFO. Or do you? And the first thing you see, the first 8 bullets are the 8 things that keep most contractors of that size up at night.
That's great. So there's basically a whole bunch of different things you can do to get that 26% increase in traffic. Buy the book, read it, and then you've got a way to double your business without spending gazillions of dollars on marketing. Now, if people want to find out more, where can they find you, Michael?
So they're going to find me at buzzworthy.biz, and they're going to find the book, the link to the book. We have it in paperback and ebook on Amazon, but it's very easy to find us through ruleof26.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Drop an iTunes review or a review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you've got a friend who would benefit from this episode, let them know about it. If you've got a friend who wouldn't benefit from this episode, but you just haven't talked to for a while, now's a great time to give them a call. Thanks for listening. Until next time.